The Constitutional Caucus here in the House, gentleman from Utah.
I thank the gentleman from New Jersey for this. You know, we are talking about a potential health care bill, which, whether it is the Senate or the House version, is an enormous expansion of the government. Not only is it an enormous expansion of the government in the cost for it, but it's also an enormous expansion in the amount of power. Now, both bills are based on the Commerce Clause of giving them their authority to implement this program. And Commerce Clause, as we know, over the last 70 years has been so expanded, its shape has basically been lost. But notwithstanding, even when the courts have ruled on Commerce Clause issues, they have two thresholds that must be maintained before something has usually been declared constitutional for them. One is that the activity has to have a significant impact on interstate commerce. And I think you can argue this bill would. But the second is the willing participant threshold that must be done, which means the Commerce Clause has said Congress can do that which will stop an activity. But never have they said the Commerce Clause can be used to forbid inactivity or force individuals to pay a fine, not only for doing nothing, but for doing the wrong kind of thing according to the federal government. Now, that's the problem this piece of legislation has, because if they can force people to go through this to have a certain kind of health insurance, they can force Americans to do anything at any given time. Like the Constitution was simply says that Congress can regulate commercial activities in which people choose to engage but cannot require that they engage in those commercial activities. So it's one of those simple concepts. Let me give an example. We passed a cash for clunker bill here, which gave incentives for people to go and get a certain kind of car. We still allow people that choice and option. If you use that same program with the principles within this health care monstrosity, we don't have a cash for clunker program, we simply have a clunker program, which will then have the government establish a bureaucracy and organization not only to tell you what to buy, but when to buy it, and then give you the opportunity to pay for it yourself or be fined by the federal government. Now, that is not the way it's supposed to be. In Mack versus the United States, the Supreme Court said the Constitution protects us against our better instincts because it divides power to help us so that we do not succumb to the temptation of concentrating power in one location as an expedient solution for the crisis of the day. And that is indeed what this particular bill would do.
And with that, I will just have an update from the cloakroom that on the Massachusetts race that the Republican candidate Brown has won and the Democrat has conceded with 53 to 46% on the votes. Thank you.
That is that news, if I can just yield back. Okay. Get the time from the gentleman from New Jersey is as amazing as the potential harm that this bill could do to all Americans that are there. We've spoken many times on the floor about the concept of the General Welfare Clause, which was not an expansion of opportunity for Congress. It was supposed to be a limitation.
Right.
And I did at one time get a call. We spoke once on how the interpretation of the General Welfare Clause. I got a call from a lady from Alabama after that saying, yeah, it was very eloquent, but these are all the things I like the government doing. And then she gave me a list of stuff. And I said, ma'am, you basically missed our intent. It was not that government can do these things. It is which level of government should do these things. Not every issue has to rise to the importance that Congress needs to do it, which would lead to another element of the Constitution that I think this Obama health care, Democrat, Reed, Pelosi, whatever you want to call it, is violating, which is federalism. But before I do that, I would like to yield back to the gentleman from New Jersey to allow him to at least give some comments upon this particular issue. And then if we want to go back into federalism, you don't have a whole lot of time left here. I'll be more than happy to pick that up at some later date. But I'd like to yield back to the gentleman first and give you at least a shot.